Hi.
Hello. It's good to be with you today. You can see I've just been doing my mat exercises. I went out by myself and did my walk, and now it's time to sit down and talk to you about what the verse of the day is.
And we're in Easter week, and all these reflections are really leading up to, Good Friday and Easter Sunday. And today the verse comes from Luke chapter 22, and it's the Last Supper. And Jesus has already shared the bread, and now he's sharing the cup, and he says this in verse 20. In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." And the thing I'd like to think that would be good to focus on is that word covenant, because it's talking about a new agreement that's being established in all that Jesus is about to do by willingly allow himself to be tried, tested, judged, guilty, and crucified on a cross.
So covenant is not a word we use a lot in this day and age. What's the difference between a covenant and a contract? Because they're two legal terms, really, aren't they?
Well, they're both agreements, but it's a little bit different. We do have the idea of covenant because marriage is a covenant. And the difference basically is that in a contract, two people have mutual obligations, and if someone fails in their obligation, the contract is off. But in a covenant, you agree to hold on to that relationship, even if one of the parties doesn't fully live up to their part of it. It's a bit like you and I. When we got married, we agreed to live with each other through thick and thin. And now some people have prenuptial agreements, which are really contracts. That's not really the heart of marriage. And God is saying there's something about his relationship with us, which is now a covenant.
Okay, and good to think of, because we just had our wedding anniversary the other day. So, yes, we've been thinking through some of these things and how it is that we have had this long-term relationship, which has got this give and take aspect to it.
That's right. It was a big day when Jenny agreed to say, "I'm going to live with you for the rest of my life, through thick and thin, through ups and downs, through sickness and in health," all those sort of things. In fact, we actually said, "I'm going to love you when I hate you." That was a bit...
But the idea being that even when I'm so cross and upset and I'm still going to love you anyway. Yeah. That was the idea.
And also this whole idea that even if you fail to live up to what you're saying today, I'm going to stick with you. Which is pretty profound. It's not a concept that we hold on to strongly in our community today.
No, and it is difficult in some situations because not everyone can actually physically do that, which is...
No, that's right. So there is
another
thing that God does allow divorce when it gets too hard. So there are, he recognises in a fallen world it does get too hard. But that doesn't take away from what a covenant is, which is an agreement to stay together or to hold on to this agreement through thick and thin.
Yeah. So what's Jesus saying? This cup is the new covenant in my blood. That says that there's been an old covenant, doesn't it?
Well, there's lots of covenants in the Old Testament with Noah, with Abraham, with Moses, with David. There's a whole lot of them, and this is a new one. And it had been prophesied by people like prophets like Jeremiah and Isaiah. And Jesus says now it's being inaugurated. This is a new agreement. And what we know is it's about God not holding our sins against us at all. It's what we looked at yesterday from Philippians 2, that God comes amongst us as a human being and serves us rather than us serving God. And all those other covenants sort of thought of God as a transcendent, amazing, powerful, overpowering nearly God, sort of God. But in this one, we recognise that God is in Jesus dying on a cross, which is incredibly profound.
Yes, and to think that God, that all-powerful, consuming God actually became human is what's what we're remembering during this Easter week. It's a profound...
We're not, that's Christmas you're talking about, when he becomes a human being.
Yeah,
but that now he lives as a human being, dies as a human being, suffers as a human being, and understands what it is to be a human being is really profound. And I think that's where this meets at this moment that we're living in. Because in our families, in our relationships, we've made agreements to live with each other. And we're in our homes, and it's all a little bit more difficult than it normally would be. And this reminds us that covenant, God is with us in the midst of even our failings, and we need to be with each other in the midst of our ups and downs. That's the nature of covenant.
Serving one another. Yep. So let's covenant with one another during these weeks.
Or hold on to the covenant we've already made, maybe. Whatever that might be for you. God bless you today.
Yep, see ya.